So, in early 2026, the situation between the United States and Venezuela, which had been simmering for years, just completely boiled over. And what happened next wasn't just some minor political shuffle. Nope. This was a full-blown military intervention, and it's thrown an entire nation into chaos and honestly sent shockwaves all around the world. It really brings up a massive question, one we're seeing play out in real time. What actually happens when a superpower decides to just remove the president of another country? The fallout is, as you can imagine, incredibly complex, and it is far from over.
All right, let's get right to the heart of it. The one event that really lit the fuse on this whole crisis. This wasn't a gradual thing. This was a single, shocking moment that changed absolutely everything practically overnight.
I mean, for years, the U.S. strategy was all about economic pressure, right? Sanctions, blockades, you name it. But then, bam! On January 3rd, 2026, that whole strategy gets tossed out the window for direct military action. This timeline really shows you just how sudden and dramatic that shift really was.
So on that day, U.S. forces went into Venezuela, they captured President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, and flew them right out of the country. And let's be clear, this wasn't some kind of covert op or a proxy fight. This was a very public, very direct move.
And just in case there was any doubt about what was happening, President Trump came out and confirmed it himself. He said very bluntly, "We will run Venezuela," but then he added this one little word, temporarily. And that single word, temporarily, has left the entire world holding its breath, wondering what exactly comes next. So how in the world did we get to this point? I mean, the U.S. didn't just act on a whim, they actually spent years building a case, laying the groundwork to justify the increasing pressure they were putting on Venezuela. The official reasons from the U.S. read like a laundry list of serious accusations against Maduro's government. You know, massive corruption, a slide into authoritarianism, and even claims of drug trafficking and human rights abuses. These were the justifications they gave for the really crippling sanctions that went right after Venezuela's oil revenue, which, you have to understand, was the absolute lifeblood of the regime. But still, you gotta admit, the jump from economic pressure to actually putting boots on the ground, that is a massive leap. It's the kind of move that sets a really powerful and, you could argue, a pretty dangerous precedent for foreign policy.
So, with Maduro gone, you've got this huge power vacuum that's just opened up. And this brings us to what is probably the most critical question on the ground right now. Who is actually in charge of Venezuela?
Well, two key figures are really trying to step into that void. On one side, you have Delcy Rodriguez, who was Maduro's vice president, and she's trying to keep some semblance of the old government running. And on the other side, you've got the famous opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, who sees this as her big chance to finally take power. Delcy Rodriguez has stepped up as the kind of acting authority, and here's a twist for you. She's already talking with the very same U.S. officials who took her boss out of power. And what are they talking about? The future of Venezuela's government, and, you guessed it, it's oil. The U.S. is saying it has maximum leverage in these negotiations, and yeah, it's not hard to see why. Meanwhile, Maria Corina Machado decided to make a really dramatic play for U.S. support. In what was a super symbolic and frankly controversial gesture, she publicly presented her Nobel Peace Prize to President Trump, obviously hoping to get his backing. Now, the Nobel Committee immediately clarified that you can't just transfer the prize. But the political message? Yeah, that came through loud and clear.
Okay, but beyond all the political maneuvering, there's another enormous factor here, maybe the most important one of all. Venezuela's absolutely massive oil reserves. See, this isn't just about who gets to sit in the presidential palace, it's about who controls the black gold flowing underneath it.
And President Trump himself made this pretty stunning economic promise. He claimed that with U.S. oversight, Venezuela's economy could be turned around at like lightning speed. This quote right here tells you that the U.S. sees a huge economic opportunity, not just a political one. It's a promise of wealth, but you have to wonder, at what cost?
And the U.S. is a very clear economic game plan for this. Their strategy is to seize Venezuelan oil tankers, take control of the country's oil sales, and then put all the profits into accounts managed by the U.S. Now, the stated goal is to stabilize the economy and get foreign companies to come back, but it also gives the U.S. an incredible amount of control.
Look, this isn't just a story about Venezuela. And it's not just a story about the United States. The ripple effects of this intervention are being felt all across the region and really all around the globe. As you'd expect, the reactions have been fast and pretty divided. What's left of the government in Venezuela is, of course, condemning the whole thing as a total violation of their sovereignty.
Neighboring countries are protesting the blockades because they're worried about their own energy supplies. And global allies, they're scrambling, caught between wanting to support the U.S. and needing to uphold international law. It's a mess.
So what's really on the line here? Well, the stakes could not be higher. We're talking about the precedent for direct military intervention, control over one of the world's biggest oil economies, the very future of international law, and the stability of an entire region. Each one of those is like its own potential powder keg.
So we are left with the ultimate question. Is this a stabilization mission that's designed to rescue a failing state? Or is this the start of a new kind of occupation, one driven by economic interests? Right now, the future of Venezuela, its people, its government, and its oil, it's all hanging in the balance.